Welcome back to Bread and Butter, everybody, where we're serving up the basics for Hearthstone improvement. And as always, I am Doc McButt, joined by my co-host Tito. Tito, how are you doing today?
Hello, I'm doing fantastic. Thank you. Why don't you introduce our guest tonight, Doc?
Yeah, and our guest is us. It's just the two of us tonight, folks, which is just fine because it's a podcast and it doesn't matter who we have on. It just matters with the voices that talk and the audience that absorbs the voices. Am I right?
Absolutely. It's a lot of fun to have guests on every week, and we still plan on doing that. But it is hard to book somebody every week, and we need to figure out what the show will look like when we don't have guests, so we can continue with this format on.
And you know what? For us being 43 episodes in, I think we've done a very fine job. And by we, I mean the royal we have done a very fine job with booking guests and getting people on the show on a very regular basis.
Not only have we booked guests, we have booked fantastic guests that bring lots of either insightful knowledge or comedy or whatever. It's been we have great people that have come on. So, thank you, everybody. I have a guest line, so Doc won't be here on the next episode. I'm sure he'll get into that.
Well, okay, that's not entirely true anymore.
Oh,
so okay, peek behind the curtain, everybody. So I know how last episode I said my car was fixed. My car's fixed. However, today after work, my check engine light came on. So I'm gonna go find out what's wrong with my car, and that'll determine whether or not I'm here for the next episode.
Okay, and the next episode we have scheduled is Ron Mexico. So I'm very excited about that. So we'll see how that goes. But Doc, what have you been doing inside Hearthstone lately?
Yeah, so unfortunately, not a lot. I've played, I think since last week, I've played like 4 BG games because peek into further up in the episode, I had a very busy weekend this last weekend. But I played a BG just before we started recording today. And I was Scabs. I started Murlocs and pivoted into Naga. And I got a pretzel mustard game. Not spicy, unfortunately. But it was like my 4th or 5th pretzel mustard game. I'm now at 4902 MMR. Excuse me. So just still trying to get to 5K. I had like over the weekend, I played like 3, won 1, lost 2. So I lost a bit of MMR and I'm trying to get it back. But that's what I've been doing inside the world of Hearthstone. What have you been doing inside Hearthstone, Tito?
I've been trying to get off the rank legend floor, which I've started to do. When I came in, I was pretty close. I was within, say, 500 of the last number that was out there, and had some losing streaks with what I was doing, but then winning streaks, and just typical variance. But lately, I found Sidisi's Yogg Not Load Hunter, which basically is the new Yogg and Arcane, and it has some secrets in it too. So it's a lot of fun. It's actually very strong, very powerful, and I've had a lot of success with that. So I recommend that, but have not played a lot of Battlegrounds lately. Have not played a lot of other modes. I haven't really played Twist in a couple weeks. I haven't really done anything else. I've just mostly, whenever I've been able to get onto Hearthstone, it's been just trying to climb and do that. But you've had a busy week, Doc. What have you been doing outside of Hearthstone?
Yeah, so for those who are unaware, maybe if Hearthstone's like your only card game, MagicCon Las Vegas was this last weekend, and that's where I've been. So I live in southern Utah, and so I'm about an hour and a half to 2 hours to Las Vegas. And so me and a bunch of my buddies from here, we all caravanned down to Las Vegas and went to MagicCon, which was an absolute blast. It was my first MagicCon. It wasn't my first convention. Like I've been to PAX, I've been to Comic-Con, I've been to Wizard World, I've been to quite a few conventions, but I've never been to a MagicCon. And I've been to DreamHacks and everything too. MagicCon was so much fun. So I started off MagicCon with meeting up with Brandon Downs, aka Tom Locke from Team Swagoi, which is the esports organization that I stream for when I stream and that I am on the team for in THL. met up with him, and because Brandon and his wife get invited as content creators. Well, his wife gets invited as a content creator to the cons. And my group was with Brandon. We got some special treatment because of his friends that he has from seeing at all these different cons. So we were able to get into the content creator zone before the lines like got let in, so we didn't have to wait in the line at all to enter like the area that you can walk around in and stuff. The very first thing we did was IHOP had a station, and for all 3 days of the con, if you were part of the first 40 people that signed up for IHOP rewards, you got to choose between an IHOP notebook, a pack of IHOP card sleeves, which was a pancake with syrup and just IHOP written on it, or you could have picked what I picked, which was a little like dice bag full of 1+1+1 counters, with on one side was +1+1 and on the other side was a pancake. So I got a bag full of counters, and it's absolutely lovely. And there's like, I don't know, like 15, 20 of them just in this little pouch.
Now, did you pick up those counters to specifically use when you play against Daniel in a game of Magic?
No, but I will be definitely adding syrup to the stack. So that was a lot of fun. That was the very first thing we did. Got my picture taken on a dinosaur from Ixalan, because Ixalan, the next set that's coming out, so they had a little Ixalan area. And I just really love dinosaurs, so I couldn't pass up an opportunity to ride a dinosaur. Also got my picture taken in front of the TARDIS. So I got a free TARDIS card, which is a 4-2 vehicle. I forget what it does, but it's a 4-2 vehicle. And I met Papa Hearthstone, met Brian Kibler, got my picture taken with Brian Kibler. He's an incredibly nice person. Had no qualms with me asking to take a picture with him. He thought it was funny that I knew him from Hearthstone first versus knowing him from Magic. So that was really cool. Got to meet Papa Hearthstone before the con even officially started. I met him at like 9:30 in the morning. And then we went upstairs, did like secret.
Doc.
Yes.
Well, let's stay on Kibler for a second, because you messaged me. Did you try to book him for the show?
No, he was incredibly busy afterwards. And so I missed Firebat. Firebat was there. I would have loved to have gotten to see Firebat. I mean, I kind of ran into Kibler a couple times, but he was like with a big group of people, so I would have felt really awkward, like asking him to get onto the, like, if he'd like to be on the show. But he was very nice to interact with. He's like a really, really nice person. He was fun to talk to. Was perfectly fine with taking the picture. We even wore matching shirts. If you want to see the picture, it's on my Twitter. Then we went upstairs, did a secret layer event, where Tom Locke, myself, and one of my buddies, we all kissed the rats in the secret layer booth because we thought it was funny, and we got cool rat pins. And a bunch of artists were upstairs, so we got to talk to all the artists and like see their work, and they're able to sell anything that was their artwork, not just Magic related. So that was super cool. There was also the Wilds of Eldraine upstairs, which is the current set in Magic right now. I also ran into Sir Ginger, which is a card from the new Magic set. Someone was cosplaying Sir Ginger, and it took them a month to make the costume, and it was just a very good time. It was just a great time. I also ran into Jimmy Wong, who's famous for his, I forget who he shares his YouTube channel with, but he has a YouTube channel for Commander. I know him from the D&D podcast Dungeons and Daddies, which is not a BDSM podcast, but sometimes it might be. So if you like Dungeons and Dragons and you're obviously listening to us, Dungeons and Daddies is a great podcast to start listening to. There's currently 2 seasons. I'm about halfway through season 2. Jimmy Wong, super nice. Was very pleased that I told him that I liked his podcast at Dungeons and Daddies, because apparently he was trying to tell everyone about that this weekend. So that was cool. So I did. Okay. So now I'm going to get to what I actually like played during MagicCon. So I did 2 Commander Masters drafts because Commander's fun mode. And I also did 2 Wilds of Eldraine drafts. So first Commander Masters draft, I didn't really know what I was doing because I don't draft very often in real life. I'll draft in arena sometimes. So that was fun, whatever. Did my second one in my last pack. So crack it open. In Commander Masters drafts, you get to take 2 cards, then pass it. In my last pack, I open the borderless alternate art for a Jeweled Lotus, which is a 0 mana spell. You sacrifice it to generate 3 colors of any 1 mana solely to cast your commander. So I got the borderless alternate art, which it's not like it wasn't foil, it wasn't the textured foil, but it's a very, very, very good card. And it essentially paid for all the entries that I entered in this weekend. So that was super cool to pull that. That's like the pull of the weekend out of my entire group. So within that draft, I also drafted Yannette Cryptic Sovereign, which is 2 colorless mana, plains, an island, and a swamp. So white, blue, black. And for those of you who don't know what this creature does, it has flying, vigilance, and menace. Flying meaning it can only be blocked by creatures with flying and reach. Vigilance meaning it can attack and not have to tap and it stays ready to block. Menace means it can only be blocked by two or more creatures. So then the rest of the card text. Whenever Yannette Cryptic Sovereign attacks, reveal the top card of your library. You may cast it without paying its mana cost if its mana value is odd. If you don't cast it, draw a card. So I had a very odd costed commander deck. And by turn 4, I had a 3/5, a 6/5, a 4/5 out on the board. And it was just a lot of fun. Card was great. I love it. I'm going to make a commander deck with it because I think Magic Baku, because it's basically Baku, is a lot of fun. And then I did 2 Wild Eldraine drafts. First one, I went 0-3. I drafted 3 colors, which is really hard to do, and it's even harder to do if you don't know how to draft. And I basically don't know how to draft. But I got a little bit smarter in my second Wild Eldraine draft. I drafted only 2 colors. I drafted black-red. And Wilds of Eldraine is a very aggressive set. Just like if it's sealed or pre-released, it's a very, very, very aggressive set. So I went red-black because I drafted Totenaz Swarm Piper, which whenever Totenaz Swarm Piper or another non-token creature I control die, I create a 1/1 black creature token, or a 1/1 black rat creature token with their, and they just can't block. They can't block. But if Totenaz is alive, I can pay 1 colorless and 1 black to make all my attacking rats have death touch. So I had a bunch of rat generating cards. I also had a red spell or a red enchantment called Raid Bombardment, which whenever a 1 attack or 2 attack creature attacks, an additional 1 damage goes through to the opposing player for each 1 or 2 attack creature. So it was very fun. I ended up going 2-1 in the second draft, and it felt really, really, really good. And I ended up earning enough prize ticks to purchase or turn in all my prize tick vouchers for another commander deck. And so now I have 2 pre-con commander decks and the beginnings of 2 other commander decks, because I'm also going to make a rat commander deck with Totenaz, just because these are both very, very fun cards. And I enjoy them a lot. I had a sushi burrito because Tom Locke, a friend, and we went walking in Vegas for a little bit as we were waiting for some of the events we wanted to do to start. And we had a sushi burrito. It was fantastic. It was just a burrito sized hand roll for sushi. So if you're a sushi enjoyer, you kind of understand what's going on. And it was great. I also got to meet Swall in person, Swall being our guest as of a couple weeks ago. Did not get a picture with them, unfortunately. They caught me. They caught me as I was in the middle of my game for my second Commander Masters draft. But I did get a Weasel Tunneler token card that Schwal had custom made. And so that was really cool. I was very excited to get that. And just played a lot of Magic. Magic's a fun game too. But that's basically everything I did this weekend. That's all condensed, but it was a very, very fun time. Tito, I have taken up so much time talking. What have you done this weekend?
Well, it's time to do Magic talk. Question for you. Well, this is the new theme. It's in this section. It's you take up all the time. We run out for me, right? I'm just kidding.
Yeah, it sure is.
Are you going to teach Cortland to play Commander since you now have 2 decks?
I was actually thinking about it, to be perfectly honest. I haven't brought it up to her yet, but I was definitely thinking about it today since we have 2 decks we can play.
Fair enough. So I haven't done a whole lot, at least not compared to Doc. This weekend ended up being my wife got a new car, and she bought it in Massachusetts. So we had to do we had to drive down to get it, and then 2 people bring it back. And we also had my grandson. We went just down to Mass, picked it up, came back. Long day, long weekend. It's rained a lot. It still just won't stop raining, which is fine. But I just put solar panels, so I would like some sunny days once in a while. But the weather's breaking. I was just outside at my son's soccer practice, and I'm in shorts and a sweatshirt. But my legs were cold, and we have a Indian summer coming, as they say, in the next week or 2, where it's going to get back up to 70s and 80s. But it was chilly tonight, and that's nice. I like that. Outside of that, I bought monitor arms. So I wanted to get my monitors off and be able to kind of maybe adjust them as needed and make some room. I have a very narrow, skinny desk, and I bought those, installed them today. So I pulled everything off my computer desk, unhooked everything, put it on a table, and then kind of like rebuilt the thing from scratch, my whole setup, including the monitor. I did the monitor arm first, and then I ran into a problem where my microphone now couldn't reach me from where it used to be because now there's a monitor arm in the way. But luckily, or not luckily, but right now my third monitor didn't have the bracket in the back where you could attach the thing you need to attach it to the arm. So I have to get a new monitor at some point, but that one's still on a base. But I didn't want to not have 3 monitors. But now my microphone's on a different side, which you probably don't care, but it's a little weird for me. We're getting used to it. But that's really it for me. I've been working doing
Can
the
I
things.
interject really quick, Tito?
Uh-huh.
I really like where your microphone is at right now.
Oh, fair enough.
Because you do a lot of looking at one monitor and then talking and then looking back at the other monitor. And where the microphone is right now is like the happy medium that it that it just works for just how you just naturally just kind of swing back and forth.
I do get distracted very easily. I do move around a lot.
You're good. You're good.
So no, this is that is probably right. It's still, well, plus my middle monitor and my left monitor are the ones I use the most, and the right monitor is where I usually have audition recording, or that's where I have the least important things that I'm paying attention to. So having the microphone block that a little bit more than anything else is good. But anyway, Doc, normally this is where we would get to know our guest, or maybe do a little fun interaction with a returning guest, but we didn't have that tonight. So I decided, and this is one of the things that we're looking to do, as we are eventually going to have more episodes where it's just me and Doc. What are we going to do in some of these segments? And this week I came up with an idea, so I'd love to hear if people like it or don't like it. Feedback is great. It's a new thing, but a lot of times you'll hear some of these podcasts kind of talk about how to play a deck. And they say, oh, the big thing right now is Control Warrior, so let's talk about that, or Mech Mage, or whatever it is. You don't want to hear that from us because you already heard it from other people. So we're going to go with the meme deck of the moment tonight. This is a deck that was provided to me by Pilot on stream last night. And I've played different versions of this. This is Chad Pally. Now, I haven't played Chad Pally before last night, but Doc, you have a question.
Yes. So can we call this segment Mom Meme of the Moment, but just keep the T silent?
Sure.
Okay, perfect.
All right. So welcome to Mom. They actually have Mom at Jordan's Furniture in Massachusetts, where it's a motion Odyssey movie. So you go ride the Mom.
Ah, that's pretty cool.
So this deck is a Kangor deck, and I love Kangor. Kangor is probably my favorite card out of the set, the music set, the battle. What's it called? Battle of the Bands. The last set from last. Yep. Memory bad, but
Festival of Legends.
Festival of Legends. Kangor is my favorite card from that set, I think. So I played a lot of Big Paladin when it wasn't good. It's never been good. Most recently, I've been playing a lot of Earthern Paladin, which involves Kangor, and you get to play Kangor. You dance a lot of the cards that bring you the 2/2s and the 4/4s and the 6/6s with the Eartherns. And you also use Tears, and you also use Tyr himself to really kind of generate those. And that deck's a lot of fun, but it's not great. The deck we have last night that I'm talking about now, called the Chad Paladin, it has potential. It's not going to be aggressive decks. It has a very high curve, but it's good against decks like Warrior. And that's kind of, you're seeing a lot of Warrior right now. This deck might actually help a little bit, or might at least give you some fun into those decks. So I'm not, sorry, I hit the mic. It's on the wrong side. I'm not used to it. So it's like I said, high curve. You have 2 dance floors, 2 equalities, 2 flashes of lights, 2 resistance auras, 2 consecrations, service spell, 2 alarm security bots, 2 crusader auras, Judge Unworthy, Kangor Dancing, Lead Dancer, Rivendare, Amethyst the Peacekeeper, the Titan, Prison of Yogg-Saron, the Leviathan, Kolagarn. Now, Kolagarn is not a card that was given to me in the original list. I don't remember what I replaced, but I just wanted to get Kolagarn in there because it seemed like it would be fun to get them out there, especially against some of the other things you're seeing out there. It's actually won me a couple games. Doesn't mean it's a good card, but I've enjoyed it. Remember, this is the meme deck of the moment, or Mom. The Onoyo troops are what really helps against the Warrior, because they want to hit you in the face with their armor, weapon, or just, with the armor they generate through Odin to hit you. Onoyo troop is really living up to its name there and being annoying. But you also have 2 Flesh Behemoths, 2 front lines, a Neptulon, a Stoneborn General, and a Thaddeus. So what are we doing here? That's a great question that you might ask. How do you win? Your real win condition is mostly to get a lot of value from the minions you can generate, like the Onoyo bots, or you can kind of go wide sometimes and get value from those minions with your Crusader Aura. But you also can get a lot of value. You're not doing a ton with Thaddeus. There's no insane combo that you're getting where now all my cards cost 0. It's just a good 11/11 taunt that you get off Flesh Behemoths, and you can also use it to get things. Now, Alarm Security Bot, that's probably a card you're not very familiar with. That, I believe, is a 4-mana 4/5 with a death rattle of draw a minion, give it 5/5, and it costs 5. So that works really well with things like Flesh Behemoth. That works really well with Thaddeus. That works very well with your Onoyo troops. There's a lot of options there. Your alternate win condition is you can get your typical Baron Rivendare into your deck, or excuse me, War Rider Rivendare into your deck. And then you get to play front lines later and pull them all out and do that. Plus, they also get drawn off of your Flesh Behemoths when they've been shuffled in. So it's a fun deck. It's expensive. If you're seeing a lot of the druids that kill you from hand, if you're seeing a lot of those style decks, it's not going to be as good as you would like it to be. But if you're seeing a lot of warrior, seeing a lot of slow kind of grindy decks, it's a fun deck. I recommend it. I give it a few games. It's just fun, and if you have a chance to play Kangor and you haven't yet, he's just a fun card. So I recommend that. Doc, you got any thoughts on this deck?
Yeah, it's expensive in every sense of the imagination. Let's see. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 legendaries. Nearly a third of the deck are all legendaries. So its total mana cost or dust cost, excuse me. If you want to craft this, which please don't, is 15,760 dust. If you have all the cards for it already, you can make it, but please don't craft it.
You can pull out Kolaghan. You can pull out Prison of Yogg-Saron. You could probably even pull out Baron Rivendare if you don't want to go that route.
Why would you pull out Prison of Yogg-Saron? Everyone has Prison of Yogg-Saron.
I'm just saying you could. Actually, that's right. Everyone has it. You're absolutely correct. Never mind.
Yeah.
Well, maybe someone. No, you can't even dust it. So yeah, no, don't pull that one out. It's just fun. It's big. It's expensive. Maybe we should call it. Maybe instead of calling it the Mom, we should call it the WOM, the Whale of the Month deck.
We could have both. Both could exist.
All right. Well, if anybody out there actually tries this or wants to see me play it or somebody else play it, just reach out to us on Twitter and let us know what you thought of it. We will probably bring some other decks that cost a little less. I just had to figure out what we were gonna talk about, and this is the deck that's been on my mind. I can't wait. I'm gonna play it right after this, so I'm looking forward to it. But Doc, we're getting a little hungry. I think it's time for dinner. What do you think?
Yeah, dinner sounds pretty good. Okay, so last week, as all of you who listen to us know, was the date around the date anniversary of us being a podcast for a year. Which, hooray, we've been a podcast for over a year. We're in like the top 0.5% of all podcasts with having as many episodes as we do. So we thought about doing a little introspective and looking on what we started our show with the goals, what we were playing, and our steps of how we were going to be better. Or try to become better Hearthstone players than we were a year ago. So for me, I had just hit 3,500 MMR and BGs. And for the life of me, I can't tell you what the meta for BGs was back then. I think it might have been buddies or close to buddies. But I know one of the decks I was playing was Edelweiss's Frozen Touch Mage, which she played very, very well. And I played not very well. I was also playing Enzo's and Rage Warrior because I think Ridiculous Hat was hyping that deck up a lot, and Hat having the brain he has and being who he is, I wanted to see the sauce Hat was talking about. And I was also playing Aggro Druid because I was trying to get that sweet, sweet, sweet 500 wins with Druid. And since then, I have gotten it. So hooray. My niece was also only just about a week old. Now she's almost 13 months old, which absolutely blows my mind. And hooray for that. Well, hooray that I'm not doing this anymore. But I was still working at the bakery, working about 95 hours a week. So hallelujah, praise be to Yogg that I don't do that anymore. Because if I did, I don't think the show would have existed for as long as it has. So we did have a patch that came out about a year ago, which it was patch 24.2.2. And it was the patch where Guff got nerfed, Edwin got nerfed, Nightcloak Sanctum got nerfed, the Hunter quest. Yeah, I remember when quests were in standard, because you will now. Hunter quest got nerfed. Kael'thas Sinstrider got nerfed, and Smothering Starfish got nerfed. And it's been such a long time since that's happened. I think that's absolutely crazy. But also, it feels like it was just yesterday. Pour one out for Kel'Thas because he's not even thought of anymore.
Well, you remember the combo that he was enabling, which was Bran and I believe Denathrius, right?
Yep. So you could get like a bajillion damage Nathrius out. But Bran's gone. Hallelujah. As a personal listeners, like I enjoy the League of Explorers. I think they are very fun characters to have within Hearthstone. I just think we've had too many versions of them so quickly. Because in the last 3 years, we have had 2 versions of all these all these heroes come out. And I just think that's a lot to rehash on the same characters. Personally, everyone's preference will be different. That's just my feelings. The closest I'd come to Legend was rank 1, 3 stars under the old system, which is still true. I have not gotten closer to Legend, unfortunately. My highest multiplier was 8 stars. That is still true. My highest multiplier of the last year was 8 stars. My goal was to hit Diamond 10. I don't think that happened, unfortunately. I think about the highest rank I've achieved was like Plat 4. But when you hit the middle of gold and have to grind all the way with just a single, like with no star bonus, it takes a lot to even just get through platinum. Which sometimes I have the time for, sometimes I don't, unfortunately. So my paths to my goals were as follows. Not burning myself out at the beginning of a month, which I feel like I've done pretty good about that with not just playing all the Hearthstone I'll play for the month within the first 7 to 14 days, because I used to play that way. Reviewing more of my own replays. I've gotten a little bit better at this. Not as good as I would like. I don't do it as often as I should, but I've done it a bit more. I have stopped overvaluing value for the most part. There's a couple instances in Control Warrior where that still does happen, but it does not happen in like every deck I play anymore. And to play slower, I'll tell you what, I have roped so much more than I ever have leading up to trying to play slower and look at more lines of play than I ever have in Hearthstone. So I see that as a win. I see that as a very good positive that I have taken the time to look at my plays, to think of other plays, to truly think of the better one. Because I have ADHD and ADD, and most of the time I see play, boom, go. And then I hit end turn, and then I see another play, and I'm just like, oh, darn, that play was better. Whoops. But that happens significantly less now. So I feel like I did okay. I don't feel like I did great. I definitely didn't achieve my goal of hitting Legend, but I've done better with refining the foundations of who is Doc as a Hearthstone player. So my goal going forward for the next calendar year is to, again, try to hit Legend. I still think hitting D10 is a good soft goal. And then D5 is a good medium goal. And then for the hard goal, Legend. Because the whole point about setting goals for yourself is to make them realistic and make them attainable. Because if you just have one goal that is very, very lofty and you don't hit it, and that's your only goal, then you have this big area of where all this success and achievement happened. But because you didn't do the very specific thing, you don't value all the steps you took to get there. So that's why I have these laddered goals, is because perfect. I hit Diamond 10. Wonderful. That is check mark number 1. Now that I've done check mark number 1, try to do check mark number 2. Hit Diamond 5. Perfect. Knock that off the list. Feel good about hitting Diamond 10, Diamond 5. Now I can try to hit Legend. And if I don't hit Legend within the next year and I hit Diamond 10 and Diamond 5, it's like, perfect. I was able to do these 2 things. This is what I did to achieve that. Now, how can I use what I have done to achieve Diamond 10, Diamond 5 to hit the ultimate goal that I want, which is hitting Legend, which is ultimately part of this show, which is just to improve yourself as a player. Tito.
Well, that's the first question I have for you, Doc.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you haven't? I know you said that there's some aspects of here you've accomplished, like playing slower. You've reviewed your replays a little bit more. You haven't quite hit your goals yet. And we talked about a month ago about, hey, sometimes you got to either redefine your goals or remember, it's also just a video game. So if you're not trying to compete to be in tournaments or whatever, then who cares? It's like, it's for fun. Do what you can. If you don't hit them, redefine them. But do you feel like you are, I know you're a better Battlegrounds player. That's clear. But do you feel like you're a better standard player than you were a year ago?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Because a year ago, you would not catch me anywhere close to considering playing a control deck. And I mean, granted, I haven't played a lot since the mini set has come out, but pre-mini set, I've been really, really enjoying Control Warrior. So I feel like, yes, I'm a better Hearthstone player because one, I play slower. I have taken the time to think through all my turns. And two, I'm starting to get into another archetype and enjoying another archetype of play. Because, yeah, you can play all the aggro decks in the world, but if you go into a tournament format and just play all aggro, you're gonna be hard pressed to easily find success. So if you're able to play one or two or three archetypes, I feel like you're able to achieve success easier than just if you were solely aggro, which basically that's how I've played the game for a very long time, is just playing aggro or mid-range. So now that I'm playing control, which is an archetype I'm not entirely comfortable with, and I'm enjoying it, and it's the deck I prefer to play, I feel like that's a good sign, an indicator that I am at least a better Hearthstone player.
And keep in mind, it's also important, if you can, to not just, you may love aggro, but play mid-range, play combo, play control, because you may not love it, or, I mean, if you hate it, don't play it, but the more you play those decks, then you realize, hey, I lose to aggro when this happens or how this happens. And you get a better feel of not only how these other decks work, but how you beat them, because you get beat by them. So if you're running into these aggro decks as Control Warrior and you're losing certain matchups, then when you're playing those matchups and you're in the inverse of that, you know how they lose. So it just helps you become a better player overall. At least that's the way I try to approach things. All right. Well, good.
Yeah, I was just going to be like, so Tito, how have you done the last year?
Well, my goals were a little more vague-ish. They weren't hard numbers or hard things. I wanted to climb the legend without anxiety, because I always get anxious trying to just get to legend. That D5 climb to legend always has bothered me, has always, if I don't catch a hot run of cards and get there super quick, I always kind of get in my own head of, do I belong here? Why am I struggling so much? I should be better than this. And I still hit that a little bit, but I have hit legend every month this calendar year. I think I've only missed once in the last year and a half, 2 years, something along those lines. And that was last December, and December was busy and crazy. So I think I have improved. I still get there where sometimes I can't figure out what deck clicks with me, but I no longer have that feeling of, am I going to get to legend this month? Because I play enough and I feel like I've improved enough where I'm going to hit legend. I still get a little bit of the anxiety of I'm not there yet, but I definitely feel like that I have accomplished that on some level where I don't get super anxious unless it's getting to be the end of the month. I know I'm going to hit legend. I put the time in, I put the numbers in, and I can play the decks. So there, check one. I'd say accomplished. Don't worry about the number. Focus on more overall improving. So less focused about the number that I am in legend and really just trying to become a better Hearthstone player. I'm going to say yes and no on this one. I once hit 11 stars. And once you've hit the promised land, it's hard to go back to the other land if mentally. And I know I'm good enough to get there, and I want to do it again. And when I have losing streaks, or when I have variants that I'm if I'm treading water, I sometimes can get a little frustrated too. But for the most part, like this month, I came in pretty low in Legend, and I've been kind of fishing towards the bottom, and we're starting to move forward. And I'm more focused on the game of the moment versus the overall picture. Like I've already established, hey, I don't get worried about playing or not playing based on what my rank is. I just get in there, I play, and that's something that I think feels better. I don't want to get paralysis by, hey, I don't want to play because my number's there. Like, so a lot of times I don't even know what my number is. I just queue up. Sometimes I'll pay attention just to see how much I'm going up and down with wins or losses, whether it's like 20 points or 100 points or whatever like that. But I still want to get myself higher into Legends, so I'm actually playing more people that I recognize, and I am doing a little bit of that. But I want a better MMR. I want better improvement, but I'm doing it on a way where I'm focusing on the games themselves. I'm playing meme deck of the week aside. I'm playing more real decks. I'm putting a lot of time into the decks I'm playing. Sometimes I don't give up on a deck, even if I'm losing, when I know that I should have a good, like I won't drop a deck like Relic Demon Hunter because it's still solid and I should be able to win with it because I'm good enough and the numbers say the deck is solid. So I just try to focus on improving in those aspects of those decks and just my general play. And I definitely have been working on avoiding tilt. Now, we had the episode where we had Dawn on where we talked about all the different kinds of tilt. So I can definitely say that I'm not 100% avoiding playing on tilt, because I definitely, if I find myself getting frustrated and I've lost 3 or 4 or something, I will adjust for it. But if I'm not getting frustrated, if I'm, say, streaming or if I'm just having fun and I hit the 4 losses, 5 losses, I'm not necessarily taking the break I need or switching things up or stepping away that I should be doing. Excuse me. In that situation. But I'm not upset at that time. So learning that there's been different kinds of tilt is definitely something I've been paying a little bit more attention to, but it's fun. So I think overall, I definitely feel like I have become an overall better Hearthstone player. I have beaten some people in THL, which has felt really good. I haven't won a match yet this season overall, but I have taken games, and I often go 2 and 3 against some really tough opponents. So I find that it's, in general, I think I'm a better player, and my adjusted goals aren't really all that different. I still want to try to not have that. Excuse me. I still try not to have that anxiety as I'm climbing. I want to focus on just generally improving, and I want to hopefully by next year, this time, be more consistently in the top 2,000, 3,000 Legend at the end of a month, because I play enough. Maybe I'm not 11 star, maybe I'm not. I'm not worried about that as much, but I want to consistently be in a better place, because it means I'm playing better. And I'm not necessarily worried about the number. I'm just worried about more representing how much skill that I have improved upon. And it shows when I'm streaming, it shows when I'm playing, and I'm enjoying it because I feel like I have figured out the game. So my goals are more or less the same. I'm not going to adjust them that much, but there's a couple quick notes so for this episode, I went back and I listened to the first episode. And for anybody here that actually listened to the first episode and you are still here, thank you.
Yes.
Because that was not painful. Another behind baseball. About 2 or 3 episodes in, maybe it was even 1 episode, I don't even remember, but it was a couple episodes in, we had a couple of people listen to the episode and give us feedback. And one of them was Daniel. And he was telling us about, hey, your speech patterns are not great. And he was very critical, but like not in a mean way, like you guys suck. He was like, hey, I noticed this, I noticed this. And listening to those episodes where we're saying a lot and these things that were pointed out, it was painful to listen to. It was painful to listen to again today. I feel like we've come a long way since we started. So that's interesting. And plus the audio, we've definitely improved upon the audio greatly, I think. And we're kind of now a balanced podcast. We almost sound like we belong here. Outside of that, we did say on the first episode that we were planning on keeping the show to 30 to 45 minutes. And boy, did that ship sail.
Oh, yeah. That ship sailed very fast.
And all respect to anybody that's tried to do it and kept to it. I know we joke around with Play for Tempo that they always say 30 minutes guaranteed, and they usually don't. It's easy to not. Like last week, we had Dano on, and I'm looking at the things we needed to talk about, and I wasn't even sure how we were going to fill the normal 45 minutes to an hour, and we went like an hour and a half. So you never know how these things go. You just try to have enough to talk about, and if it goes long, it goes long. Hopefully you guys are still here enjoying it. If you're still listening, thank you. The other last note I had, rabbit holes were worth exploring a year ago on our first episode. Like, so that is a meme that has gone on for a long time and has not died.
And it won't ever die because they're so worth exploring, every single one of them.
Well, Doc, it was great to look back. I think we should do this. We probably should do this once a year, every year, reevaluate where our goals are and all that. So, but I'm kind of full, but I think there's a little room for dessert. What do you think?
Yeah, dessert sounds lovely. Okay, listeners, you know what dessert is. You know it starts off with us letting you know to please leave us a review. We would prefer a 5-star review because it helps with visibility, but leave us a review that you feel like is honest, and please feel free to let us know what we're doing well and let us know what we could improve upon, because we want this show to be something that we enjoy as the creators of the show, but also something that you enjoy as the listeners of the show. So please let us know how we're doing. We really appreciate it. Tito, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter and Twitch at Tito Santana HS. How about yourself, Doc?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter and Twitch at Doc McButt. Do you have any shout outs this weekend, Tito? Sorry, you usually ask that, so I was waiting for that to come up.
Oh, sorry.
You're good.
No, actually, I don't have any particular shout outs this week. It's been kind of a quiet week. I did want to bring up one thing, because I forgot to bring this up in what we've been doing outside of Hearthstone, is I beat Undertale.
How dare you?
Well, we were supposed to. It's that month.
I know.
Left.
I just haven't beat it yet. Granted, I've been busy this weekend, but I got okay.
And
okay, we're gonna have to talk about this after the show. Sorry.
Okay, but it's a weird game, man, and I did not find the way I approached the game. I didn't find the moral conundrums that apparently you run into in the game, because when I first heard about the game, it was like, oh, you make these decisions and then it gets dark and then you have to make other decisions. And I'm like, I kind of just went maybe the other route and I didn't have any problems. So I was like, well, where's all this darkness coming from? And yeah, so I guess we'll figure that out. Maybe I'll play and I'll do I'll be the bad guy next time and see how that goes. But overall, it was a fun game. It was weird. I definitely enjoyed playing it. And Doc, how about yourself? Do you have any shout outs this week?
Yeah, so my shout out goes out to one of my really, really good friends, Brandon Tomlock Downs from Team Sogoi. I just absolutely love the man. He's incredibly nice, always. He brings big con dad energy. Like when you're at a con with this man, it's just, he always has a plan, always is doing something, and just makes you feel, I don't know, just makes you feel secure in the fact that like, you're not just like going to wander aimlessly throughout the con. Like he has a plan, he has a structure, he's open to suggestions. Like he's just a fun person to be at a con with. And he's a really good friend of mine. I've known him for quite a few years now, and I wish I could see him more often than I do. So, Brandon, I love you, man. Thank you for helping me have such a fun weekend.
Doc, one last question. Is Brian Kilber's hair that impressive in real life?
Yeah, it really is. And he had it in a messy bun, and homeboy Papa Hearthstone can rock a messy bun.
Well, yeah. Well, I think that's it, Doc. I think we're toast. We'll see you.
Bye-bye.
Slide two brothers meet one another when they slide up to the mic. It's bread and butter with one another. Let's start up that recording light.